Welcome back once again to Generally Nerdy. This is your week in Nerdom, and we're going to get the formalities out of the way real quick. Thank you so much for watching. The website is generallynerdy.net. You can find the Instagram there at generally_nerdy. You can find the Twitter there at generallynerdy, all one word. You can find the links to everything, and that being said, one more time, generallynerdy.net is the website. Cue the music.
Generally Nerdy.
Okay, so we're gonna have to try to make this quick. I don't have a whole lot of time to film again this week. So I've got 2 pages worth of notes, and we're gonna hit the ground running. First things first, I am gearing up for my coverage of this year's Starfest Denver. I have gotten a lot of response back from you guys about who I should be interviewing. Overwhelmingly, the consensus has been Christian Kane from Leverage, also country music fame, so on and so forth. He's got quite a few projects that he does, so I will be all over that. The way that kind of works, just so you guys know, in case it doesn't happen, just because I have press credentials for Starfest does not mean the guests will agree to do an interview with me. I have the ability to do said interviews, but they still have to give me the go-ahead to sit down with me. Last year, for Eclectica Cafe, we were really fortunate. Most of the people we wanted to sit down with did. Only, I feel like it was 2 of them didn't. One of them didn't take any interviews, and the other one was sick, so unfortunately we didn't get those 2 interviews. However, this year it's just me at Generally Nerdy, so who knows? We got the Michael Dorn interview last year because he liked the name Eclectica Cafe, because he only took 2 interviews, us and 1 national publication. So who knows? Crossing fingers. Starfest this year is going to be awesome. Chance and I from Eclectica are doing a panel on diversity in nerd culture, specifically in comic books, actually. How forced diversity, just potentially pandering, could potentially be a good thing. That's going to be the discussion for the panel. And then I am personally going to be doing a podcasting on the cheap panel. The diversity panel is going to be Saturday at 2:30. I believe. Saturday, it might be 2. Saturday at 2:15. And then my podcasting panel is going to be Sunday at 5. So if you're going to be at Starfest, please stop by and say hi. Stop by and listen to the panels. Or just, photobomb me with some cosplay. It's up to you. On to the news. Movie news. This one's movie, anime, whatever. So with the new interest in the Ghost in the Shell property, I wouldn't necessarily say the new success of the Ghost in the Shell, because the movie is doing moderately well-ish. But there is going to be a new anime. Co-directed by Kenji Kamiyama, apologies if I'm mispronouncing his name, who directed the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which was the TV series, and Shinji Aramaki, who was the director for Appleseed, which is a fantastic anime. Again, I really dig the Ghost in the Shell stuff. I haven't seen much of the series at this point. I have seen all of the movies, though, and it's really great because of, again, the conversation we started last time about this was it continues that conversation about where does artificial intelligence become real intelligence and define the soul and so on and so forth. So it's really, really deep in that kind of level. So that should be pretty awesome. That's all I really know about it at the moment. It's all that's been really announced. So we'll keep our ears out and see what happens there. It would seem the man who would be Deathstroke is actually a nerd. Joe Manganiello, who was supposed to be Deathstroke for the solo Batman movie with Ben Affleck, appears that because Matt Reeves is taking over the director's seat, Deathstroke's not going to be the big villain, which kind of well, it potentially could still be Deathstroke, but we don't know that for certain, which is a little sad because that would be a great story to tell on screen. So he's not going to be Deathstroke with Matt Reeves, as far as we know at the moment, because he's writing a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Very interesting. It's a friend of his that he went to college with that he's writing the script with, and that's all that's been said about that at the moment. But we know now that he's not going to be Deathstroke, or at least we can safely assume that he's not going to be Deathstroke. That's all we really know, but Batverse continued. Joss Whedon has been approached and offered the job to direct Batgirl. Let me repeat that. Joss Whedon, Firefly, Serenity, Buffy, Dollhouse, these really great female-led properties, not to mention Avengers, is going to be directing one of the coolest female-led stories in the DC universe, Batgirl. It was said at one point, and Joss said this on the commentary for one of the episodes of Firefly, that he's been told he can't do a story that doesn't have a young female protagonist. So who better than to do the Batgirl movie? And the guy who put the Marvel Cinematic Universe on the map with that Avengers movies. Yes, Jon Favreau started it with the Iron Man movies, so we have to give credit where credit is due to Favreau, because Favreau is brilliant in what he did with Iron Man, but Whedon with the Avengers just made it a household word, Marvel Cinematic Universe. So going to be some great stuff coming from Joss Whedon directing Batgirl. Also, we talked Predator about a month ago. The new Predator movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not going to be in it. They were talking to him about it. He said that the role that they offered him in the movie was not significant enough to the story. I'm paraphrasing here. And he would like to do it, but he feels like he should have a more significant role, and therefore is not going to do it. So does that mean they're going to revise the script a little bit to give him more impact in the movie? Probably not. It looks like they're just saying, I mean, we offered it to you and you didn't take it, so peace be with you and good luck, Arnold. Not that Arnold really needs that much luck, but you know, whatever. And it is going to be a Lego sequel. It is not a proper reboot. Due on February 9th of 2018. So, Predator movies, again, I've up and down. The Alien vs. Predator movie sucked. The first Predator movie with Arnold was great. The second Predator movie was somewhere in between all of that. So, and then the other Predators, the Predators, I believe is what it was called, that came out just a few years ago, was not very good either. So I don't know. It's another one of those 50-50 situations. It could be fantastic and it could really suck. So only time will tell, I guess. Also revealed this week, Sylvester Stallone's mystery role in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's going to play Starhawk. I'm not a big Guardians reader. I don't know exactly who Starhawk is in the mythos. I do know, though, that they have kind of taken some artistic license with some of the well, with the Guardians team. This is not the original Guardians team from the comics. I do know that much. So Starhawk's mom has already been announced for casting in this movie, so it only made sense that we would get a Starhawk, and it's going to be Sylvester Stallone. This movie is very likely going to be one of the better comic book movies this year, so look forward to that. I believe that's out next month, so gonna be a really good May, I feel like. And we're moving on to Chris Evans. Everybody knows that once he's done with the Infinity Gauntlet movies for the Avengers, he's done. It's the end of his contract. He has said that if they want him to continue, he would be glad to continue for a few more movies. But there was an interview with him. I don't remember where it was now. Probably should have taken better notes. But there was an interview with him recently where he was saying, you know, he's not to the point where he's just done being Iron Man. If they come back with another offer, then he'd be more than happy to take it. He feels like Robert Downey Jr. is the guy that's going to be, you know, I'm done. I've been Iron Man for, you know, Lord knows how long. Nobody's been doing it as long as Hugh Jackman did Wolverine, but still, either of those two guys moving on with their career is going to be felt in the comic book movie universe. So that, take with that what you will. We've had this conversation already. Actors change. Artists in the comic books, artists change the way a certain character looks, so it could be potentially a different person or actor when you're reading it. So in the movies, it only makes sense. However, this brings up a very interesting point, because we're to the point now, in at least heavily in the Marvel universe, where in the comic books they're diversifying, they're passing the mantle in a lot of ways. Iron Man is becoming Iron Heart. Tony Stark is retiring. Is that going to influence the way the movies do it, in that once an actor retires from a role, they will then retire the character and find somebody? They hinted that might be the way they're going to do with Logan. Hugh Jackman's done, and now they have X-23, Laura, to build that she's a little kid, so they have lots and lots of potential to make movies with her. So is that what they're going to do? Are they going to introduce Riri Williams in the next Iron Man movie or in an Avengers movie, and then make an Iron Heart movie in which Robert Downey Jr. passes the torch? And if that's the case, if an actor retires, does that then mean that in the comic book universe that all of those characters are going to retire too? It's a very interesting thought. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. I feel like it could usher in a new era of storytelling when it comes to comic book characters. So, again, sound off in the comments, and we will have a nice long conversation about it. I feel a written piece coming on for it too, so keep your eyes open for that. Carrie Fisher, even though she's unfortunately passed away, it has been confirmed that Princess Leia will be in Episode 9. Her brother and her daughter, Billie Lourd is her daughter, who is also in Star Wars in the background, but in like Scream Queens and a couple other things. They confirmed that they signed off on Disney Lucas to use Carrie Fisher's likeness in Episode 9. So the conversation we started, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about, are they going to kill Carrie Fisher off in Episode 8 in Last Jedi? The answer is a resounding no. She is going to be in Episode 9. To what capacity, and will they then potentially kill her in Episode 9? Possibly. But she's not going to die in Last Jedi. So there is that. TV news. The Freeform channel, which used to be ABC Family, I believe I read that somewhere, is picking up is becoming a part of the Marvel television universe. They are doing a Marvel show called Marvel's New Warriors that focuses on a team that's pretty new in the comic books, and they're all really obscure characters. Difference from the team in the comics and what's going to be on the TV show is the TV show team is going to be led by Squirrel Girl. I've never read Squirrel Girl. I've heard great things. A couple of my comic book guys are really big on Squirrel Girl, and from what I know of the character, she's a perfect example of why a new character should be created for she's a perfect example of why a new character should be created for a different target audience. Instead of repurposing an existing character, you create this awesome new character like Squirrel Girl. So that's a thing, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see. It is on a cable network, so we'll see how long it lasts, but if they're willing to embrace obscure characters like Squirrel Girl, then why not? You know, let's see where this goes. Let's follow this through. So everyone, this is a little bit of a video game thing even. Mega Man is getting a new TV show. There was a Mega Man TV show a few years ago. It was not very good. I saw like 2 episodes of it and went, yeah. I believe there's even been a few animes, but this one's going to be picked up by the Cartoon Network. And they said in their statement when they announced that they picked it up that it's going to be for ages 6 to 9 and their parents who grew up playing the game. So there's going to be a lot of references and a lot of existing characters and stuff like that. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Mega Man, it carries some great, very, very fond memories from my childhood. So hopefully they can do something fantastic with it. They've already signed off on, I think it was 12 or 15 episodes. So good on you, Cartoon Network. I mean, you guys really do very, very little wrong. So keep up the good work, and let's see what you got. Preacher Season 2 has a trailer. More awesomeness. Garth Ennis's infamous creation is getting its 2nd season on television, and it's going to be more of the same formula of the stuff that we got from the last season, only I'm sure bigger and greater, because Custer's got to go punch out God sometimes. So if you liked Season 1, it looks like Season 2 is going to be just as awesome. Keep your eyes peeled. I did not catch the start of it. I will try and put it in the description below if I can find it before I post this. Otherwise, we're just looking out for Season 2 of Preacher and giving Garth Ennis all of our money. Anyone with their ears open who keeps tabs on this stuff and doesn't have to watch silly little shows like mine knows that Sonequa Martin Green, aka Sasha from The Walking Dead, has signed on to do a new television show. So it shouldn't have been a shocker when she, spoiler alert, died in the last episode of this season of The Walking Dead, which, by the by, holy hell, reaction to the end of the final episode of The Walking Dead. When will Negan die? I want, it's almost as much as Joffrey in Game of Thrones. Like, you just want that dude to die so badly. Although Negan's going to get a more battle-worthy death than Joffrey did. I know this. But anyway, so Sonequa Martin Green is going to be in Star Trek Discovery. This is a show, I've heard a couple of things every here and there about it. Michael Dorn, for a while, was pushing to get it made. I don't know if that means that Lieutenant Commander Worf is going to be in Star Trek Discovery, but I do know Sonequa Martin Green's going to be in it. I don't know who her character is going to be. Rainn Wilson also is going to be, was very recently announced to be in Star Trek Discovery. He's going to be playing, oh man, Mud, I believe was the character's name. And I passively am a fan of Star Trek. I don't know who the character that Rainn Wilson is going to be. I've never seen. He was in the original Star Trek with Shatner. He's been in an animated series for an episode. But I have not. I'm not familiar with this character. But it's Rainn Wilson, so it's going to be great, because Rainn Wilson's awesome. So very interesting. We'll see if Dorn is in it, because, again, he was pushing to get this made before I interviewed him last year for Eclectica. So this has been a project that's been going on for a while, and still no date yet as to when it'll start airing. I do know it's been announced for what station that it's been picked up on. I just don't remember the station, so my apologies. Send me all your hate mail, Trekkies. I know how that goes. Not a whole lot video game wise. Again, it's a little more difficult for me to keep up with the video game stuff because it is such a vast, just like comic books, it's such a vast topic. A new Injustice trailer has been released again. Lots of character reveals, lots of really awesomeness. If you are a fan of the first Injustice, then by all means reserve it so you can get your dark side. The dark side's gonna be just like Goro was for Mortal Kombat X. He's on the disc. He's going to physically be in the files that you download if you don't get discs anymore. Just locked behind a download code. And then you have to download it to unlock him, even though he's already there, and it's a little ridiculous, but I feel like it's worth it. I mean, if you're going to get the game anyway, you might as well pre-order it so you can get the extra character right off the bat. Play the game. That's... and in this case, I mean the game of DLC, not the game of Injustice 2. I agree that the current state of things with video games is they're selling us essentially unfinished product and then finishing it throughout the course of a year or two. But we are still getting great products and without glaring issues. I mean, yes, there are definitely issues. Like, I know Destiny 2 has had some pretty questionable things going on. And Street Fighter V had major balance issues when they first went into beta. So, I don't know. I feel like if I get to be a part of the process beyond beta to perfect a game that I like, I'm okay with buying the less than perfect initial product, so long as the final product is something that I'm going to play for years, like Mortal Kombat X, or XL as it's called now. So yeah, Injustice 2 launches next month, and we're slowly getting more and more little bits about the story. It actually looks like, last time I was talking about Brainiac's going to be the big bad, it looks like it's actually going to be a team of villains. So Superman has gotten his whole power trip in check, and I don't know. It's, for all of the information that they're giving us about the story, they're still not giving us information about the story. But that's great. I mean, keep us guessing. Keep us wanting more, I guess. And that's it for video games this week. No crazy comic book stuff this week, but there is going to be a Star Wars compilation. It's an anthology book. The last 40 years, because this is 40 years? No way. I'm not that old. Good night. That really is. 40 years? Okay, so yes, it's going to be called Star Wars from a Certain Point of View. It's out this October. It's a collection of 40 plus short stories by a bunch of really well-known sci-fi authors. I could go through the list, but why? It's short stories. It looks like it's going to be, because they're hashing out backstory for characters from A New Hope, from that era of Star Wars, because that's the 40-year anniversary we're celebrating this year. So 40 stories. It's going to be something akin to the Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina. Only I'm hoping better written, because some of the stuff in that collection of short stories was pretty cringeworthy. But again, we'll see when it comes out. Star Wars nerds, you're with me. Let's roll. Let's get this. I like that Disney is, even though they uncanonized and mythologized, I guess is what they did, pretty much everything before they bought the property, they're filling out the universe the way they see fit. So hopefully that means less holes in the overarching plot and so on and so forth. So Star Wars, from a certain point of view, out this October. Go to Barnes & Noble, pick it up. And that's what we got right now for literature / comic books.
Generally nerdy.
Moving right along to music, a couple of pretty interesting things. I actually meant to bring this one up last week. David Silvera from Korn, their original drummer, is now in a band called Core 10, and they really suck. They've posted a video or two on their YouTube of their rehearsal, and they repeat in their press releases that it's very, very rough. It's very rough. It's just us playing around with a couple of cameras at rehearsal. It's really super rough. Looking beyond the production value, the song structure, the lyric structure, everything about that screams mediocre rock band from the 90s. And like, it's a bunch of guys in their 40s trying to recreate their teenage years is kind of what it looks like. I mean, I really don't like to bring shade. I really respect David Silvera for what he did when he was in Korn. I feel like he's one of the main elements that I really enjoyed about that band. The drums and the guitar. I was really not a fan of the bass work, and I was really not a fan of Jonathan's lyrics. It was the abstract and still somehow very heavy guitar work and the really groovy drums that attracted me to Korn back in the day. So the fact that he's in such a subpar, not even mediocre, subpar band is really disheartening. Speaking of Korn and the iffy bass, they're doing a South America tour. They're forget what they're supporting right now because I have not kept track. Oh no, they have a new album, that's right. And Corey Taylor did guest vocals on one of the songs. I remember this. This is probably a thing I even talked about on In Nerdom a couple weeks ago. Anyway, Ty Trujillo is going to play bass for Korn. Now, who is Ty Trujillo, you ask? Robert Trujillo's 12-year-old son, who's also in a metal band, apparently. But yeah, a 12-year-old is going to go on tour in South America with Korn playing bass for Fieldy because of scheduling conflicts. Like, this brings up a whole other issue, a whole other conversation about stardom and fame and why would you get to the point, why would you let yourself get to the point where you can't go on? It's not that he's sick, it's not that he's been injured in any way, it's not even that he has a family issue, it's just scheduling conflicts. What, Fieldy, are you doing that's more important than your band? The reason you're famous is this band. And I use that term famous fairly loosely in this respect, but the reason you're famous is this band, and so this band is doing a thing, and you can't rearrange your schedule to also do that thing. I will never understand what it is to be famous, apparently, because that just blows my mind. If I'm in a band and we have a show, I don't care if it's in a Taco Bell bathroom, I'm gonna play. Like, it just, I don't know, maybe that's the difference between me and famous people, whatever. Moving on, because that could get me going for a while. Geddy Lee played with Yes. This was really cool. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Geddy Lee was playing with Yes. That was really awesome. A couple other really interesting things happened at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony this year, but usually that's the way it goes. There's always at least one or two performances. There are a couple of really good artists coming on stage together to play each other's songs. So scan the YouTubes for that kind of stuff, because it's great. Killswitch Engage's Adam Dukowitz. Can never pronounce Adam D's last name. Adam D and Jesse Leach. When Jesse left Killswitch Engage, he was in a couple of bands. Actually 3 bands. I don't remember the 2 aside from Times of Grace, but one of those 3 was Times of Grace. And Adam D is also in Times of Grace. Matter of fact, it's just the 2 of them in the studio, from what I understand. Now that they're done touring with, or they're on tour rather, with Anthrax and Killswitch Engage. But while they're on tour, they're working on new music for Times of Grace. That Times of Grace album is kind of like the Killswitch album that should have been. Towards the end of Howard's tenure with them, the music got a little repetitive and formulaic. That Times of Grace album is phenomenal. If you have the ability to find a copy, definitely buy it. It is worth the look. And then to kind of round out this week's episode, we're going to talk a couple of deaths that happened this week. Since we're in the middle of the music discussion, we will go to Trans-Siberian Orchestra creator Paul O'Neill died this week at 61. Which kind of bums me out because I really dig TSO, and he was pretty young in the scheme of things, so rest in peace to Paul O'Neill. And then also Don Rickles, world famous comedian, voice of Mr. Potato Head, one of the voices in Toy Story. I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Potato Head. Don Rickles died this week. He was in his 90s, so he had a long, good run of it. But both presences? Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Both presences will be missed in their respective fields of work. Don Rickles, even in his old age, made everyone fall over laughing. And Paul O'Neill was headbanging to the end. I mean, I don't know that for certain. But I do know he went on tour with TSO this last year when they were doing their Christmas stuff, and Trans-Siberian Orchestra is just really great. Like, if you're looking for non-repetitive, still seasonal Christmas music, TSO is the way to go, and one of the creator of that project is no longer with us, so our nerdy hearts go out to both of them. And that brings us to the end. Thank you for sticking around till you got to this point. Once again, that website is generallynerdy.net. I appreciate you guys watching all my stuff. Leave me some comments, leave me some likes. Hit that subscribe button. And we will see you next week. But you must remember in the meantime, if it is generally nerdy, then by God, it is probably here.